at 4:05 on May 13th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone of the ground rules for the town hall meetings. Please note the fire exits in case of an emergency. Calmly and quickly exit. Do not run. Do not use the elevators. The restrooms are located at my right in the hallway. We will follow the order of the agenda. The agenda is located on the table near the entrance. I would like to remind everyone of the ground rules for public input as outlined by town code. The town board welcomes public input and reserves time at every meeting for this purpose. When it's your time to speak, please step to the podium, speak into the mic, and clearly give your name and address. The meetings are recorded and broadcast on our website, Facebook, YouTube, and Roku, and other platforms. It is important to speak into the mic so that the viewers at home can hear you. Each speaker has 3 minutes to address comments to the town board, staff, or department heads. It's up to the town board to grant an extension if needed. All speakers must be respectful and conduct themselves appropriately. There is zero tolerance for personal attacks on town staff, town officials, any members of the audience, and any person having a matter before the board. If the speaker does not meet these expectations, their time to speak will be immediately terminated. Please address all questions and comments to the town supervisor. Please understand that public input period is not designed to be a discussion, and the board will not respond directly to anything stated. I'll advise each speaker when their time is concluded. From time to time, also, the town board reserves the right to request presentations from members of the community. And that presentation, the time the town board determines based on what the town board needs to learn or know about. And it will be flexible according to the presentation. Madam Clerk, please read the roll call.
Supervisor Evans.
Here.
Councilwoman Cunningham.
Here.
Councilman Malone. Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilman Weiner. Attorney for the town.
Here.
As we approach the summer months, we continue to get complaints about excessive speeding. Please slow down. Get your neighbors to slow down. We want to protect our residents, our children, our workers, and all who visit our community. After this meeting, I will be leaving for a financial training in Albany with the Association of Towns. We were proud to host this week the Honorable Senator Kirsten Gillibrand as she made her announcement and the appeal to pass bipartisan legislation that would assist police officers in small towns like ours to afford child care. We look forward to the passage of that legislation. We're very excited about sponsoring the 4th grade classes of the Rogers Middle School. They got a chance to become honorary board members and participate in a mock town board workshop and meeting. I have to say it was incredibly fun seeing the passion and promise of our young citizens. We'll have a DPW open house on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll hear more about that from our commissioner. We'll be celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month with 2 events. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we will have the Ikebana flower arranging, which as of now is a sold-out event. We're lucky to have this display in the foyer, if you notice. And at 6:30 on May 29th, we'll continue to celebrate Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month with the Irondequoit Library and the Irondequoit Book Read with the Supervisor series. will be reading and discussing the award-winning book Last Night at the Telegraph. I'm now inviting the town board members to join us down for a proclamation. Please, members of the chorus, please join me, please. Here's right up front. How are you guys doing tonight? All right, all right. Proclamation from the town of Arundequoit. Whereas Arundequoit Chorale was established in 1994 and had their first concert on June 17th of that year at the United Church of Christ. And whereas the Arundequoit Chorale is a group made up of approximately 65 vocalists, and whereas over the past 30 years, Arundequoit Chorale has performed over 95 concerts locally and one at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and whereas Arundequoit Chorale has been a participant in the Prism concert at Kodak Hall at the Eastman Theater for 10 years, and whereas Arundequoit Chorale has performed at many town functions over the years, including the 4th of July celebrations and tree lightings, and whereas Arundequoit Chorale will celebrate their 30th anniversary on May 21st of this year. Now let it be resolved that I, Andre Evans, and the Arundequoit Town Board do hereby recognize Arundequoit Chorale on this occasion of their 30th anniversary. So declared on this day, 13th May, 2024. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything? I keep messing this part up. Like this. Any comments?
I'm so glad to be able to be here still, because 30 years, and I'm now 85 years old, and my husband keeps saying, well, when are you going to stop? And I said, well, when I drop, I think. But it's been my pleasure all these years to work with these folks, with the board of directors that I've had through the years, with Eric, my favorite conductor that we've had through the years, and with our people who are accompanying our music as well. The town has always been gracious and helpful with us, and we appreciate that. I have another framed copy of the type of thing that the supervisor just read from 10 years, when we were here 10 years. And I never at that time thought that I'd be here doing this with all these great people 20 years after that. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And we have two presentations tonight. First, we'll hear from Uplift Arundequoit on marijuana use updates, followed by the update from our town audit from the Bonadilla Group. The town board members are invited to join me down in the audience for the Uplift presentation, as there is an audio video presentation to this. Please give us a few minutes to set up the audio video, and we begin by then.
Fabulous.
Good.
Yeah. The input might need to change on the TV.
The little jiggle, that's fine. Uh-oh. Hi, help.
So let's take a big speed. Can't have those there. Let's just not use that one.
Okay.
This goes. This guy has a little extra slack as well. Plug that in.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Oops, so sorry. Okay. All right, good afternoon, town board members. Thank you so much for inviting us to do this presentation today. We are with Uplift Irondequoit, a local coalition focused on reducing youth substance use here in Irondequoit. Today our presentation is going to be focused on cannabis retailer dispensaries and lounges and just some updates that we do have. So today with us is myself, Vicki Beetham. I'm the program director, and accompanying me is Melissa Safford, our project coordinator. So I'm going to hand it off to Melissa to start us off.
We will run through the town board decision made in 2021, as well as pending cannabis licenses in the town of Irondequoit, current zoning policies, a connection to tobacco policies, and cannabis research. Some of you were here in 2021 when we were recently talking about cannabis, but for those of you who weren't, just to get caught up, in March of 2021, New York State passed the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, which legalized adult use cannabis. In October of that year, a member of the town board made a proposal for a local law to opt out of retail dispensaries and on-site consumption businesses. And after a public hearing, the town board had a vote to opt in to both retail dispensaries as well as cannabis consumption lounges. That proposal did pass, and now Irondequoit has opted in to both types of cannabis businesses. After the fact, some additional local laws were passed. Specifically, cannabis businesses were limited to the manufacturing district. And then they were also limited in that they may not be within 1,000 feet of any school or town-owned park or playground, 500 feet of a place of worship, or 500 feet of another cannabis business. These are the locations of 2 pending licenses. These are businesses that have applied for a retail dispensary license, but that license has not yet been granted by the state. On the left, there is a location on Hudson Avenue, just north of Eastridge, and on the right is a location on Eastridge Road, right across the street from the community center. This is the zoning map, which I'm sure many of you have seen. And the black pins are those 2 dots that I just previously showed you. As you can see in the key, manufacturing is in purple, and neither of those locations are within the manufacturing district. They're both in the commercial district. The blue pins on this map are youth-focused locations, primarily schools, but down in the pink, can you see my mouse? Oh, fabulous. Down in the pink, that is the community center marked there. Whoa, I got ahead of myself. That's what I wanted. Back to you, Vicki.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to quickly just talk about tobacco policies that we've already enacted in the town of Arundequoit. The reason why I am bringing this up is because as we're navigating this new process with cannabis, it's not completely new to us because we have gone through the process of policies with other substances, such as tobacco. So the town has increased the tobacco policy to ensure that each tobacco retailer needs to be 1,000 feet from schools, playgrounds, and child care facilities, as well as they need to be 750 feet apart from each retailer. So those were enacted and are actually past the New York State guidelines. So going into some of the research for cannabis, I'm going to show you a little bit of the statistics that we currently have locally, and then we'll get into some of the general research that we found from other states that have already legalized cannabis. So here in Arundequoit, there's a youth risk behavior survey that is done in the school districts every other year. East Arundequoit did a similar version of the survey, but it's not called the YRBS, so it's referred to as the SAS. But both surveys were implemented back in 2023 during this school year, and the results that are shown here is that 21.5% of Eastridge High School students and 21.3% of Arundequoit High School students have used cannabis, and that's lifetime use. But we can see from 2021 results that there has been an increase by 5.9% in both school districts for high school students. And as you can see, 21% is about 1 in 5 students who have used cannabis in their lifetime, which is a pretty relevant number, which is why we felt the need to share that with you. Next is some driving impaired information. So based on the Arundequoit Police Department annual report, you can see back in 2021 that the incidences reported were just over 20. Fast forward to 2023, we are now over 80 incidences reported, which is for driving while intoxicated by alcohol and other drugs. And including Monroe County Stop DWI's report, it shows that over 50% of DWAID incidents involve cannabinoids, which is, again, a very significant number. Going back to some of the school data that we have, this is just from East Arundequoit. We did not get these numbers from West Arundequoit, but how impaired driving kind of impacts our students. You can see that youth reported 6.5% of high school drivers used cannabis or other drugs in the past month and drove afterwards, which is a 25% increase from 2021. And 15.3% of students said that they were a passenger in a car with somebody who had been using cannabis and drove in the past month, which is an 80% increase from 2021. So as we can see that this impacts our youth quite a bit. Some research that we did find is also the marketing and advertising impacts from the cannabis industry, similar to the tobacco industry, where they have utilized some very common brand names that obviously attract youth. So you can see from the images that they use like Jolly Ranchers, similar to Sour Patch Kids or Oreos and Cheetos, to be used for edible products. And in Oregon, 2 years after legalization, the youth exposure for cannabis advertising climbed to 75% among 8th graders. And in their report, they said that cannabis advertising is directly associated with cannabis use. So these are just some policy recommendations that is from SAMHSA, and we also have another sheet of recommendations for the board to review, and we hope that you take these under consideration, especially in regards to the youth in Irondequoit, because we really want to protect their first-time use. So thank you so much for having us. We have our contact information. I'm sure you guys know how to reach us, though, if you do need to. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Back here?
Oh,
Back
yes.
here?
Yeah, sorry.
I work in the planning and zoning office here at Town Hall, and I'm just curious as to the addresses, those locations that you guys first showed. You said Hudson Avenue and Eastridge Road. Do you have the specific address?
Yeah, so it's on the first one that we shared.
Maybe I couldn't see it from back here. 1657 Hudson.
Yes.
We can also share with the board and all of you the link that gets regularly updated with approved and pending licenses.
Is that from the OCM?
It is.
Okay. Because we've received one letter for one location that we sent back, that it wasn't in the correct district.
Right.
So if they're doing their due diligence, whoever's ever trying to open up the shop should be forwarding the OCM letter to the town planning and zoning department.
Absolutely, and we can make sure that you get both of these locations to compare against what you've received.
That'd be great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Very helpful.
Of course, thank you for having us. This as well.
And now we hear from the Montedillo Group. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How was everybody? Looking forward to this exciting presentation of the financials.
Every year, Andy, every year.
So I left the hard copies on your desk up there. We're not going to go through every single document, obviously. We did meet with the audit committee last week, the weeks are running together, and went through everything in great detail. Had some very, very good discussion. The supervisor was there as well as Diana. So again, very good. And what I told the committee too is it's a very engaged audit committee. It's made up of community members, which is, a little bit unusual. A lot of times it's board members that make up the audit committee. So the fact that you've got community members, I think is good. It gives a little different insight, a different perspective as well. So again, just to kind of give you that little information. So the first letter that we'll go through should be right on top. It's called the Required Communications Letter. And as the name implies, there's certain things we're required to report to the board as part of our process. And so the way this is laid out is there's a bold caption beneath that kind of explains what the item is, and then our response or commentary relative to that is in the italicized bold area. Those of you who've been around for a little while have seen this. I'll point out, some of the new stuff. I know there's a couple new, or at least one new board member that I recognize. The first area talks about accounting practices and the fact that what accounting policies the town uses, that's entirely at the direction of the town. You make the decision. A lot of it is guided by Government Accounting Standards Board, but ultimately they belong to you. Those decisions belong to you. And so to the extent there's any changes in those, that's what we want to call out or identify. And there was one new accounting standard this year related to subscription-based IT arrangements, which is very similar to last year. We had one related to leases. And essentially you pick up the value of the asset and the liability associated with the use of that asset. And the value of that was about $147,000 to the town. There was nothing else really entered into by the town that lacked authoritative guidance, etc. The next section talks about estimates and the fact that almost every financial statement has some element of estimation within it. You've got 4 identified estimates there, the first of which is compensated absences. So that's the estimate of unused leave time for employees based on collective bargaining agreements, and that's recorded as a liability. And I'll point out a little bit later, there is a new accounting standard coming related to that, and we'll talk about soon. The next estimate relates to your net pension obligation with New York State. That's based on the state's actuary performing calculations. You also have an estimate related to depreciation expense, so the value associated with the use of the assets that you've acquired over time. And then lastly, your OPEB, your post-employment benefit obligation, so the value of benefits that you've promised to employees after retirement, employees and their spouses. There's an estimate related to that obligation as well. So what our responsibility is to review all those estimates, really make sure that they're reasonable, in accordance with the standards and calculated properly, and we did that and had no issues there. On the top of the second page, we identify what we call sensitive disclosures, or what this letter calls sensitive disclosures, and we identify 2 of them, the pension and the OPEB. And the only reason they're listed as sensitive is because they are based on actuarial calculations. So, those things, when they change, they can change the numbers drastically either way, and that's why they're called sensitive. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit. We do work for the town board. We're directly engaged by the town board to perform these services, but we work with management and the town employees to get our engagement done. And so the reason this point is here is to really let you know that we did not have any issues getting the audit done, right? That's important. We work with management and we have questions and comments, things that go back and forth, but the audit went very well. Diana and her team, as well as other people that we encounter throughout our process, really do a good job and really give us the information we need throughout the process. We do have some adjustments that we'll review at the end of this letter. Actually, most of them were adjustments that Diana provided. Disagreements with management. Again, this relates to the fact that if there was a disagreement of an accounting matter of sorts, we'd want to bring that to the board's attention. But everything went fine. We had no disagreements. We will get a representation letter from management, which basically says that nothing has changed since year end that would impact our audit opinion or change what we're looking at. And that allows us to issue them in final form, which we'll do in anticipation for next week's full board meeting. And at the bottom of the page talks about opinion shopping, which, if we're aware of, and I'm not aware that it's happened, is if you went to another firm saying, hey, Randy was going to do it this way, or Bonadio was going to do it this way, how would you do it? We'd have to know that because they may not have all the facts. So if you go to the last 2 pages, I'll just quickly point out the adjustments. And the way we lay this out is we present you with the unadjusted fund balance or unaudited fund balance for each fund. And then if there's any adjustments in there, so you can reconcile that to what's in the audited statements. In case you had seen preliminary data from Diana, we want to make sure you can kind of trace that through. And when you look through here, most of these funds, the adjustments that are there are things that Diana gave us. So in anticipation for the audit, you know, it comes in pretty quick. She's reconciling, looking at things, and she says, oh, hey, before you look at this, here's an adjustment to this area. So there's things that she identified throughout the funds. The only fund that we actually had an adjustment in, if you look at the second page, was related to the highway fund. There was just a receivable that we identified was a little bit overstated. I think there was some timing and some confusion as to when it came in or didn't come in. So we just had to reflect that one. But again, when you think about the thousands and thousands of transactions that flow through your finances, when the audit firm comes in at year end, records one adjustment, and I think that's very good. And I think it's important because you guys are making decisions throughout the year on financial data that's provided to you. And if I came in at the end of the year and booked hundreds of adjustments or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of adjustments, you'd say, wait a minute, did I make a good decision previously? So this lets you know that you're getting good data throughout the year. It's important to know. Any questions on that? Okay. The next thing we'll go through quickly is the management letter. That should be the next document in your packet. It says communication of matters related to internal control. Very simple. There's one item on here. It's not even a control deficiency. That's what we're required to report, are things that impact internal controls. What this item is basically just a suggestion for you related to your fund balance policy. We had a very in-depth discussion of this at the audit committee, and really it's been a number of years since you've looked at that policy as it relates to the town's operations, both operationally and capital. So just take a look at that policy, update it as needed, you know, to make that fit what's going on currently within the town. Okay? And then we'll turn now, the next thing should be a PowerPoint-looking document. That's what we'll focus on next week as well. I'll just review this quickly. But if you look at the second page, kind of reminding you what our responsibility is with respect to the audit, is to form an opinion on the financial statements and make sure they're presented fairly in all material respects. We look at internal control to design our procedures, but not to give an opinion. And we communicate those matters to you as part of the audit process. But it does not relieve you or management with your responsibilities with respect to governance and oversight. And we do anticipate issuing an unmodified or a clean opinion on the town's financial statements. That's the highest level of assurance, so that's what you're looking for when you bond, you know, apply for grants, et cetera. So that's all good news. Looking at slide 3, these are your governmental activities. These numbers reflect what's called the government-wide financial statements. So this includes all of your assets and liabilities that aren't recorded at the fund level. So you can see here your investment, and you know, I'll use the term equity. You know, if you were a business, this would be the equity, you know, in the town, so to speak. You've got $55 million invested in your infrastructure, buildings, cars, roads, et cetera. About 4.7 of that of your fund balance is restricted, and then you've got a negative unrestricted net position of $58 million, leaving you 1.7. And the reason that's negative is you have these long-term obligations, you know, OPEB, debt, et cetera. So that doesn't necessarily put you in a bad position. If you look at many governments across the country, they're going to have a negative unrestricted net position because of some of those long-term obligations. Percent of revenues, about 63% of your revenues are your general revenues, mortgage tax, property tax, sales tax, et cetera. And then about 37% are your charges for services for the rest of the programs. Looking at slide 4, which is your funds. Here you've got negative $7.5 million of fund balance. That's comprised of 4 categories. Non-spendable, which is basically prepaid expenses, things that you can't spend again, so they're categorized there. You've got the restricted, which are your reserves of 4.7. You've got assigned fund balance of 2.1, and then a negative unassigned of 15, and that is 100% because of the fact that you have a ban or a bond anticipation note in your capital projects fund. Bans are considered short-term obligations. Those are always going to create a negative fund balance. When you turn those into permanent financing, long-term, that generates proceeds or revenues, which then turns that around. So again, just to help you understand what you're seeing there. Slide 5 is a 3-year look at your governmental funds. Looking just at the balance sheet, so this is all your funds combined. Cash and equivalents, you can see is hovering about 27 million, down a little bit from last year, and that's really the use of ARPA, those funds, and those funds came in 21 and 22. So if we were to look at 20, that cash balance would be significantly lower. But you can see here, you had half of it in 21, it jumped up again in 22, and then you're starting to use those funds in 23. So the next few years, those will continue to go out. And then down in the liability section, unearned revenues, that's where that ARPA money is sitting. So it remains in unearned until you spend it. That's when you earn that revenue. And then slide 6 is going to be your revenues and expenditures. See total revenues about 49 million. Really consistent for the most part year over year. Just small increases in various areas. Expenditures were up a little bit, and that's because of the ARPA expenditures going out the door. And at the third line from the bottom, change in fund balance is about 1.6 million. So actually, puts additional funds towards the bottom line from that perspective. And then a few graphs to kind of close out here. Really just looking at the general fund, revenues to budget, budget versus actual. The red line is your actual. You've been better than budget the past 3 years by a little bit there. A lot of it has to do with the ARPA monies coming in, some of that revenue loss recognition, as well as sales tax, which has been better, for the past few years as well. On the next page is your expenditures. Again, pretty close. 2 years, you were actually a little bit under budget on your spending. 22, you were a little bit over. Again, that's because of some spending on some ARPA monies, a little bit higher than anticipated. And then when you look at the next page there, this is the general fund itself only, comparing actuals and revenues and expenditures. And you can see, as expected, pretty much a break even across the board, for the fund, which is what you're looking for. And you can see at the bottom of that page, where revenues and expenditures changed year over year. And then on the next page, page 10, is your fund balance in the general fund. You can see the growth from 2021. In 2023, about 8.6 of that balance was unassigned in the general fund. And in 2022, that was about 6.5. So you can see a little bit of an increase in your unassigned fund balance, which equates to the change that we talked about a moment ago. And then just a few highlights that you can take a look at related to highway fund. I think the biggest, difference here when you look at the fourth bullet, expenditures are up quite a bit from last year. There were some equipment purchases related to those ARPA funds that were made, that were planned. So that went up for a reason, but it still has an overall positive fund balance in the highway fund. And then we look at the sewer fund on page 12, the little fund that could. It really just kind of chugs along. Each year it's got a healthy fund balance. Revenues and expenses, stay relatively consistent year over year. So no surprises there. And then the last slide here is the American Rescue Plan. So again, we talked about that. Collectively, the town received about 22 million, almost 22.5 million in 2 payments. Excuse me. And I know you're working with one of our consultants on that, and we know that money has to be obligated by the end of this fiscal year, and then you have until 2026 to spend those dollars out. So really, I know you do have a plan, but I just remind folks to kind of keep an eye on those dates. You've got reporting, coming up that you have to do. And that's it. And I forgot to mention about the there's a new standard related to compensated absences. So that's just going to change potentially how you record those obligations. It's been a number of years since they've looked at that, and over time, the way governments have provided compensated absences or paid time off and things like that have changed dramatically. So they're trying to get that more in line across the governments across the country. And so we're just going to have to relook at that. It may change a little bit. It may not change at all. But we'll work with Diana over the course of the next couple of years to make sure that's in place.
Any questions or comments?
No questions, just a comment that it's a great audit, and that's really a tribute to our town staff, and I think transparency is really important, so the fact that we've got an audit committee with residents on it, so that they can see what's going on, and pulse that out, let our community know that our staff is doing great work, so thank you.
And I also want
Randy, one question with the fund balance policy. I mean, obviously, we have this one in place. Did they talk about making changes to it? I mean, are they still?
Yeah, looking at it, the
Okay.
biggest, the main thing I pointed out was that you have a minimum and a maximum, bracketing in your policy. The accounting standards don't require you to have either, right? You're permitted to have a minimum fund balance policy, but the town implemented very early. There was not a lot of guidance, and so they put that in place. With ARPA funding where you are now and things that have gone on, you're over that maximum value. And so my recommendation is consider moving that upper value or looking at what's an appropriate upper value to do. So, yeah, we definitely talk through that.
Okay.
And they're going to take a look at that and bring it to the board's attention, I
Okay, thank
believe.
you.
I just want to say, as a partner, it's been a pleasure working with you. And I look forward to a long-term relationship and what you've been able to provide. I followed your work with the town before I came on the board. I really appreciate having you as a partner.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now we go to our department heads update. Mr. Tax Assessor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor and Town Council. Since we last met, the tentative rule was published on 1 May. In concert with that publication, we've added a great amount of data to the assessor's website to include step-by-step instructions on the grievance process, historical data, and legal notices such that people can see what we're posting in the daily record if they do not get that. Those legal records state that I must sit with the tentative roll 4 times within prescribed state law times. 2 of those 4 sittings have already occurred. The first being last Friday, the second being this last Saturday, and we have 2 more scheduled later in the month. I've been meeting with homeowners, fielding many questions of those homeowners, and the ladies have been doing a great job in the lobby, bringing homeowners up to speed on how to grieve, what they can grieve, and the procedures that surround grieving. We've made incremental progress with respect to Article 78s, which are a litigation of commercial properties. I met with the BAR, which is the Board of Assessment Review, to set baseline expectations for what is and what is not in the New York State manuals, such that when the BAR listens to the homeowners' grievances, they can make the best decisions going forward. They are neither for the town or against the town, but they are an unbiased third party. And we want to welcome full-time Carol Losi, who was working part-time in the assessment office. She's going to be our full-time assessment clerk. Outstanding person. She's going to fit in seamlessly, and I want to thank her for coming on board because she's very valued and does a great job. So that's all I have, pending any questions of the board or the supervisor.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary.
Oh, can you hear me? Is it on?
Yes.
Hello. Filling in for our Director Bill Lang, Building Department has issued 123 permits greater than 1.7 million in permit activity for construction costs. 141 building and construction inspections have been performed. Our Code Enforcement Office, 100 code enforcement complaints, 26 bulk refuse complaints, 15 off-street parking complaints, 7 junk vehicle complaints. The Fire Marshal's Office has received 15 complaints. 2 of them were structure fires and 2 of them were open burn complaints. Staffing update, we have hired a new fire marshal, Jeff David. He comes to town with a wealth of experience and has already completed his onboarding and training. We'll be working with Human Resources and recruiting a new assistant fire marshal. Pat Hudson has accepted a new position and will be vacating his position on May 20th, 2024. Other updates, code enforcement officers for the department will be performing their required annual training this week. The training occurs May 14th through May 16th at the West Webster Fire Department. The training fulfills each employee's need for the 24-hour annual training hours to keep their certifications current. We have been working with the Department of Public Works on the New York State Local Waterfront Revitalization Program updates. This has been an exceedingly involved process that involves both our departments along with the town engineer. We are meeting with representatives from New York State DEC regarding our floodplain management programs. This is a standard semi-annual meeting and will involve input from New York State DEC, FEMA, Department of Public Works, and the town engineer.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.
Pat Hudson will be missed, and wish him all the best. Any questions or comments? Madam Chief? Madam Commissioner, excuse me.
No problem. Thank you, Supervisor and Board. In DPW, obviously spring has sprung, so we're very busy. A few weeks back, we did celebrate Arbor Day, great ceremony over at the cemetery in celebration of our Tree City USA status. Also in trees, we are aggressively looking to plant over 200 trees in this spring alone. And for the first time, I think for the first time, we've locally sourced the trees that we will be planting. They're from upstate New York, so we're very excited about that. Paving has commenced. We have finished our first zone area where we paved. It was up here, Ridgeport Circle and Kingsgate North area. We milled and paved that area, and right now, today, we started milling Winona Boulevard. So we will look to mill that this week and pave it next week, and then following after that, that will lead us into our oil and stone season, which, as you may or may not know, but oil and stone is very important for the town. It helps us maintain our good roads and keep them in good shape. So we're not having, in the future, we will be keeping our good roads in shape and not having to mill and pave as much. That's the hope. Our as you mentioned earlier, but our DPW open house is this Saturday from 11 to 2. It is a family-oriented event, but anyone is welcome. Please come join us. It's kind of an equipment showcase, so come and see the different folks and equipment that we use to maintain the town. Open house also kicks off American Public Works Week. It's a nationally recognized week just to kind of showcase public works and the things that we do for our communities. We also you're seeing some progress in contractors showing at Camp Eastman for the work commencing. And if you've been down there, you'll see that the splash pad all the permanent fixtures are in place. So you see how that's looking, and then we'll start getting some other site amenities in place here very soon.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Madam Chief? Sorry, Madam Director.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So the 2024 Summer Activity Guide, the Ion Irondequoit Guide, is now out. It is available in hard copy here at Town Hall, also the Library and Community Center. It is also available on our website and will be the town website in general shortly, as well as all of our social media outlets by tomorrow, a digital copy. But if folks would like the hard copy, they can come to any of our locations to pick one up as well. And that covers all programming and activity that's taking place June, July, and August of this year, townwide. Some upcoming events and activities, just for everybody to be aware of. Next Thursday is the Day of Caring. We have about 10 work groups at various locations throughout town that will be helping to beautify and clean up Irondequoit, so we're looking forward to that. Our summer market, the first summer market takes place on Thursday, May 30th. We will be back over at the Columbus Way location while Backyard Project continues some work back there until we move into our permanent space over in the market building. But that'll be every Thursday beginning May 30th from 4 o'clock till dusk. We will have entertainment available each night as well. Our Memorial Day Parade is coming up on the 26th at 3 o'clock here at Town Hall, and then the Memorial Day ceremony at the cemetery on Monday the 27th at 9 a.m. as well. Market Mayhem is coming up, taking place the weekend of June 8th and 9th from 9 to 1 o'clock, and that's kind of like a community garage sale in the market shed, so that'll be taking place both days that weekend. Flag Day is the 14th. The ceremony will be here at Town Hall at 7 a.m. Juneteenth is June 15th from 12 to 4 o'clock, again here at Town Hall. And then summer camp will begin the 26th of June. So we're getting geared up for all the good stuff coming up this summer with the kiddos at Camp Eastman and all around town. So just busy getting ready.
Thanks very much. Sounds like we're going to have some fun this summer.
Definitely.
Mr. Director?
Thank you. I guess I would just like to highlight the resolution I have coming up later today for a payroll clerk. I'm pretty excited about that because we've been shorthanded in HR. So that's what I would normally be doing right now is payroll, and I'd appreciate support with that. We're also recruiting, obviously, many other departments. You've seen the hires going on and some of the vacancies coming up. One I would like to spotlight is the town clerk's office. We are recruiting for an office clerk 3 provisional right now. So anybody that's interested in that, please apply. And I'm sure Latasha would love to do some interviews there.
Thanks, Mr. Director. Chief?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to recognize this is middle of Police Week, actual National Police Week Memorial. Actually, the Wednesday is the actual day that we actually have the candlelight vigil, but we have a couple things. Tonight we'll be going over the Gates Police Department, having a memorial service over there. Tomorrow the County Ledge is going to be recognizing us, and then Wednesday we'll be over at the Rochester Police Locust Club doing a memorial service about noon over there too. So obviously it's to honor everybody who's made the ultimate sacrifice in serving our communities. So it's a pretty big deal every year for that. We just got done doing our transition at spring in service and transition to our new weapons and getting our officers up to speed on a lot of the new defensive tactics, techniques that we utilize. We're in the middle of hopefully going to be able to hire a new recruit for the upcoming recruit class coming up here after the meeting today. We've got a couple other things moving forward. In fact, we just got word today, late this afternoon, that we received, we were recipients as are a bunch of the other police departments all throughout the state for the law enforcement technology grant through New York State. So we were awarded $155,000 on that grant. So we're looking forward to move ahead with body-worn cameras, some robots, a bunch of other things, speed signs. Things are going to help us. So I really appreciate the state with their efforts here, and we'll be partnering with all of our other law enforcement agencies in the county to hopefully share and put everything all together so we can all talk and work together. So that's about it.
Thanks, Chief. I just want to say, please convey my respect to the police officers for the memorials for this week, as I'll be away. And also want to thank you for representing the town when Senator Gillibrand came. I think that's going to be a great program once it passed Congress to help police officers with childcare. And also want to, for those at home, Chief Peters have led the way with writing grants and also training. And based partly on his success, we formed inside in restructuring government a grant writing team, which his team has been a huge part of to look at grants across the board to help us fund the things that we want. For the first time, we participated in the federal grant ask, both at the Senate and at the congressional, at the House Representative level. So thanks a lot, Chief, for your insight there. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a few numbers regarding the clerk's office from year to date. We've done 204 photos for passports. We've done 164 passports. We've done 140 new licenses for dogs and 576 renewals for dogs. We've done with DEC fishing and hunting 47, and marriage license we've done 21. We expect marriage definitely to increase over the summer because that's when people get married, so we'll be doing more licenses there. As Jason stated, we're still looking for a clerk 3, so anyone that knows someone, please apply. And taxes, we are continually accepting taxes until the end of the month.
Thank you. Madam Controller? Sorry. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just 2 brief updates on the legislative front. LaBelle is still working on the zoning code update. That's an ongoing process. Next board meeting, there will be a public hearing on the moratorium for the secondhand dealer licenses. So that's going to be addressed at the next board meeting.
Thank you very much. Madam Controller.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Our office has been finishing up our audit report. Bonadio just presented that. We did file our annual financial report with the state on April 30th. We're still working on our system update for our financial system. So I'm going to ask for the board's patience, as I won't be able to present a financial report again this month. We do have time on the calendar with the software provider next week, and I'm hoping to get all the legacy data moved over next week. So hopefully this will be the last month without a financial report. We have also been working on our CDBG plan, which we'll discuss later. And believe it or not, we're finishing up 1 year and starting to look at next year's budget already.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, we have several items for review for the regular town board meeting for the 21st of May. Can you please read the first item?
Public hearing, item number 1, 05PH2024, on the matter of providing opportunity for public comment on the Arundecoites Community Development Block Grant, CDBG.
May I have an explanation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is our annual plan for our Community Development Block Grant Program, which commences on August 1st. We have gone through our process of receiving the applications. The supervisor, myself, and LaBella met to discuss the proposals. We also had a Community Development Block Grant Advisory Committee meeting on May 3rd with members of the community, and Councilwoman Cunningham was also attended. We have reviewed the programs. The initial allocation estimate we had was the same allocation that we had this year. That was published in the May 9th Daily Record with our spending plan. After that was published, we did receive notification that our allotment actually decreased slightly. The allotment that the town was awarded is $881,850. Revised plan will be published this week, just to let the community know. The programs that are being funded or are being requested, I did leave a sheet for each of the board members, but quickly, our Arundequoit Home Improvement Program, which offers grants to qualifying homeowners up to $4,900 for essential home improvements. The Comprehensive Housing Counseling Program, which provides services to Arundequoit residents. The Life in Arundequoit Elder Care Program, which assists our elderly residents in remaining independent in their own homes through offering services such as transportation, housekeeping, and referrals. Our Home Safe Home Program for seniors. This is sponsored by Lifespan of Greater Rochester. This is a great program. They come in and do safety assessments and minor modifications to homes for seniors, including like grab bars, raised toilet seats, hand railings. We have some street improvements in the plan, including street resurfacing of several of the streets located in the CDBG eligible areas. We also have some sidewalk improvements, again, located in those eligible areas. Our iRide program, which again is offered through Lifespan. This is a program that allows seniors to contact Lifespan and arrange for transportation, not only for medical appointments, but for other non-emergency. The Arundequoit Community Cover is a great program that offers healthy eating programs throughout the town. And then we have some administration costs also built into the budget for the program year. So next week's public hearing will allow for the residents to come forward and voice any concerns or share any information they'd like about the programs being offered.
Thank you, Madam Controller. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment, thank you for allowing me to be a part of the process, to see how that whole process works. I certainly have known about this for a long time. I think the decrease in funding is certainly concerning because it directly impacts our residents, and I think that this is an area where we can do some advocacy work as a full board.
Thank you. Any further comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 2 for public hearing on the matter of providing opportunity for public comment on issuance of secondhand dealer licenses.
Chief, can I get an explanation?
Yes, sir. Obviously, it's we did the 6-month moratorium at first because we were trying to get our town code up to speed. Actually, following pretty much along with New York state lines. There was a couple other situations that happened. We didn't get everything done in time to get the public input, so we want to have another moratorium on there. Also, with one of the shops that we have in town, there is a part of a federal investigation that's going on, and we want to wait to see how that plays out before we make any final decisions.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, read the next item.
Under appointments, item number 1, resolution authorizing the permanent appointment of a full-time police officer recruit in the Arundequoit Police Department.
Chief?
Yes, sir. We are looking to hire an individual. Her name is Laura Patain. We did a full background check. She's a town of Webster resident. She actually was a former police officer down in South Carolina. Everything points to that she actually had an exemplary career. She actually was missing family and wanted to come back home. So she came back up with her boyfriend that was actually a police officer down there at the same time. And so we did our background check, and she's currently employed by Wegmans as an asset protection officer, and she's got glowing reviews. So we're highly competitive with other towns, and we're hoping that our town's better.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, read the next item.
Item number 2, authorizing the appointment of a Deer Management Program Board member.
Mr. Director, can I get an explanation? Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm sorry, I'm not all that familiar with this resolution. I do know that Deer Management Board needs an employee representative.
Do you want me to?
Yes, Michelle, that'd be wonderful.
So the Deer Management Program Board had a member that stepped up, and she has since resigned from the town. So this is moving on to refill that position. I believe his name is Cody Dismain. Cody Dismain is going to be hopefully appointed by the town board as the supervisor's designee.
And thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 3, authorizing the permanent appointment of an office clerk 4 in the Arundecoit Recreation Department.
Madam Director, may I get an explanation?
Absolutely, Mr. Supervisor. Hannah Reynolds has been with our department for quite some time now, actually, at least 6 months or so. We hired her provisionally from Pittsford Youth Services as our front desk representative Monday to Friday, and she was successful in her venture with the civil service exam, and she's been a great addition to our team. She's our director of first impressions Monday through Friday when any of our guests walks through the door at the community center, and she's a great part of the team, so we'd love to keep her on permanently.
Thank you, Madam Director. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, read the next item.
Item number 4, authorizing the permanent appointment of a special events coordinator in the Arundecoit Recreation Department.
Madam Director.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Caitlin Bailey has been with us for a little bit over a year. We also were able to bring her on provisionally as the special events coordinator last February. She's done a fantastic job growing our special events, both in number and just by virtue of each event. She really puts her energy and enthusiasm in everything that we do and has really taken our events to the next level. So we are very, very pleased to be able to recommend her for permanent appointment after her successful attempt at civil service as well.
Any questions or comments? I'm also very excited to have Caitlin. She's a wonderful employee, and I think she does great service for our town. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 5, authorizing the appointment of a provisional assessment clerk in the Department of the Assessor.
Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As the assessor mentioned in his remarks earlier, we would like to appoint Carol Losi provisionally to this title. Carol's been working in the department part-time for quite some time now. She's proved to be a very valuable asset. And with the vacancy, we did canvass the civil service list with no results. The last time around, I believe there's no current list anymore. So Carol would be provisional, and she'd need to take the exam the next time it's offered.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, read the next item.
Item number 6, adopting the New York State Pro-Housing Communities Pledge.
Excuse me, sorry. Sorry, Madam Clerk, the walk-in resolutions I had for appointments? Sorry.
I had it later on in the...
We can do that at the end. At the end. Okay, I'm sorry. So we can do it now, like I said the first time.
I'm sorry, we had a walk-in. Authorizing the appointment of full-time laborer in the Arundecoit Public Works Department.
Madam Commissioner, may I have an explanation?
can you hear me now? Sorry. So we've had a couple promotions that lead to 2 labor vacancies within the department. So this resolution would appoint those 2 vacancies at next week's meeting.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, read the next item.
Item number 7, adopting the New York State Pro-Housing Communities Pledge.
The pro-housing commitment says that the town, along with communities across New York, will work to support the governor's pledge of increasing the housing stock available. And with that comes funding to help support that housing stock. So we're very excited to participate in this program, as it means better housing for our residents, increasing more residents. And I look forward to working with the governor and the state on accomplishing that. Any questions or comments?
I have a couple. There was mention in the letter about pursuing 5 major projects.
Correct.
Do you know what they are?
Not at the top of my head. We have several major projects that are going on now that we're applying for funding for the New York Restore grants that are looking to get funding, and there's also other proposed projects that's going through the Planning and Zoning Board that we're looking at adding on.
I think one thing that we have to be aware of is what we went through up at the mall with the Eshai. I think that we got to look at these projects and make sure that that isn't implemented in any of them, because that isn't for residents of Arundequoit. That's opened up to everybody. So if that's part of some of this financing or grants or whatever they do for these projects, I think that's just something we have to look into before, we approve or support a project. Because that is not for residents at all.
You're absolutely right that once they become, one small correction, once they live in our community, they do become part of our community. And we have been working, meeting and talking weekly with the problems at Skyview, and those problems are going down. But these are for market rate housing. They're not for low income or Eshai housing. I think that once the residents see the proposed housing that's out there, they'll be very proud to support it.
Well, when Skyview came and approached us, we didn't know anything about Eshai until it was way past, you know what I mean? So we just got to be, I think those are the questions we have to ask ahead of time that we didn't know about it, that we could ask, because we were never told at all that, and they get a lot of funding when it's Eshai. It depends on how many percentage of the residents are going to be in there. So that's just something to be aware of that I think we should be aware of going forward. Those are the questions we ask whoever the developer is when they come.
And those are great questions.
Okay.
And I just for the viewers at home, just to kind of give a synopsis of the Eshai program, Empire State Housing Support was supposed to go to people in transition who are ready to move from homeless or home insecure to a home environment. And what happened was a lot of people were put into the program who weren't appropriate for the program. The program also wasn't appropriately staffed. Chief Peters and I have had town hall meetings there. We've had now 3 or 4 there. I've done a town meeting just 2 weeks ago. They have added security. They've added different elements of the program that should have been there from the beginning. And now, if Chief Peters can correct me, I think the problems that we're seeing have been decreased over time. They've also added internal problems to evict some of the worst cases, to remove them from the Eshai program, and that has had a great effect on the population. And last time we were there at our town hall about 2 weeks ago, the residents had no more complaints about their living conditions versus safety or feeling violated. So, with the help of Chief Peters, with the help of security, Pat Stone Group, we've had in the last several months made tremendous improvements. We still have a long way to go, though.
Well, and again, without the IPD and the police department and, that place was, and the issue that I had from the beginning, we were never told this, number one, and they did the injustice to the people that moved in there because they were seniors. They did a real injustice to those people. Nobody's fault. I'm just saying, they never told us that, and when it first came out, it was a mess. So I just think it's just something we have to be aware of going forward when somebody comes here and develops. And I know that developers gone in other towns, and that question's been asked now because of what happened here. They just did an injustice to the seniors that were moving in there from the beginning. If it's getting better, that's good, but it's been pretty bad for quite a while. So if it's getting better, it can't get any worse, so it's got to go up. So I'm glad to hear that things are changing there, for the better anyway.
Right, and just to reiterate, this program with New York State is for market rate housing or for housing improvements. And that's what we're focusing on, and all the proposals that's been made to the Economic Development and Planning Department have been market rate housing and housing that I would move into tomorrow.
Well, again, we have that project possibly over at Wambox, and that's a question that could be asked to them as well. I don't know if that's going to be part of their...
Yeah, that's market rate housing.
That's market rate housing. There's no E-Shy in that at all.
None.
Because there was at the beginning, because they're at the very, very beginning when they came, but then they had the brownfield issue over there, so, okay.
Yeah, so everything I've looked at so far has been all market rate housing.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Very, very good discussion. Thanks a lot for that input. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 8, calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting special use permit for 775 Titus Avenue in the mixed-use commercial district and referring same to the planning board for comment.
Madam Secretary. Madam Secretary, your microphone.
Hello? Oh, there we go. I'm surprised you couldn't hear me, I'm so loud. So this resolution is, just as the town clerk said, it's a calling of a public hearing and referring the same regarding the I-Square development and the proposed litigation that's been going on. This is a part of the settlement agreement and mutual release that he come attend apply for a special use permit from the town board for the outdoor seating.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a couple. It looks like the outdoor seating is going to be basically what it looks like now, Michelle, what's there now?
That is correct.
Okay, so we allow 20 without a special use permit, I believe, 20 outdoor seats. He's asking for 124. That's what I'm seeing here, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a different district. This is the mixed-use commercial district. The C business district is the 20 seats.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
different district.
All right, so so he's asking for 124 seats. And do we have any come back and talk to the fire? Is there going to be a fire lane there or anything like that at all?
Yes, the fire marshal and the chief of fire for St. Paul, who's their primary responder, have met with as part of the settlement negotiations, have met with Ms. Nolan and pointed out what the fire apparatus should be. And correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Attorney, he agreed to the terms that the fire marshal provided?
I haven't seen documentation of that, so I can't speak to that point specifically, but I know that that was part of the settlement terms.
Okay, so let me go back and look at the documentation, Michelle, if you can put that on the agenda.
I personally would like to see some kind of a fire lane, because I know the litigation, we have a lockbox, right? We have a lock, well, if these chairs and people are all in front of the lockbox, there's not gonna be hard, I just wanna make sure there's access that we talked about, that's all, because the way it looks now, there's a lot of outdoor seating there, and if, summer's coming, and I don't think they're gonna have access like we think they're gonna have with all the seating out there. And the other thing is, right now, he doesn't have a special use permit intact, obviously. So we're gonna continue to let him have as many outdoor seats as he can until this gets finalized, because we got another month before we have a public hearing. Right? He could do what he wants right now, right? He doesn't have a special use permit for outdoor seating. Are we gonna allow outdoor seating?
I would have to talk to the director on
Okay.
that in regards to, I would also defer to Tracy regarding the settlement agreement.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the settlement agreement said that he would meet with make the application, then after the application, we would make a determination.
First of all, the application is about 4 years too late, number one. Number two is, again, he doesn't have a special use permit in place right now. Are we allowing him to have outdoor seating?
I think the agreement was that we will allow what's there now, and then the appropriate board will make the determination.
I'll have to look at
Oh,
that,
where the
because I don't
seating is.
remember agreeing to anything outdoor seating to what he has there, but it may be in there. It
Yeah,
may be-
I don't think that we addressed it
Right.
specifically.
Yeah.
Looking strictly at the settlement agreement, I don't think it addresses the current outdoor seating, other than saying he can come and apply for the special use permit, but doesn't say in the meantime what happens.
What happens?
So I think in that case, we would defer to the Director of Community Development.
Okay,
But I understand your concerns in
yeah.
terms of wanting
I mean,
fire
he
marshal.
doesn't have a special use permit.
Or Nixon, I would
Yeah.
say, because Mr. Ferranti's been working with this case.
Correct.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is, but he's not working with a special use permit right now, so obviously, the issue here is too, if I'm a developer, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just say, I can do what I want right now, and, until this gets settled, but I just wanna make sure that, I just want to find out the fire lane issue, and we'll find out maybe by next week in between, Michelle, or whatever.
Yeah,
If it's okay, that seating that he has in place now is the seating he can still be allowed to have.
Yeah, well, one of the things I do want to make a comment on is that the outdoor seating is not in front of where the lockbox is. The large two gate, the arcade is actually not a gate. It's a permanent fixture, and that's where the seats are in front of. Where the fire lane and where the lockbox is off to the side, which is part of the parking lot, not part of the seating.
Well, I can't see that because I'm not allowed on the property, but whatever. But I gotta see it from the road, but as long as you say that it's not blocked, and then I just want an issue if there's gonna be a fire lane there, because if there's gonna be a fire lane, that's gonna narrow the area where the seating is, so it may not come out to 124 if that's gonna be the case, that's all.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Perticone, I believe within the application, there was a site plan
Yeah, I see
that
it.
shows where that fire lane, is that the one you're talking about? Where
Well, I
it
can't,
goes right through
I
the
can't
seating?
really read mine that well, you know what I mean? I can't see where, I'm looking for the I was looking for the lockbox on there. But the seating, it looks like he's moving the curb there, I just see that. He's moving the curb, but the seating just looks like the same as it is now, that's all.
Yeah, the seating's gonna remain the same
Yeah.
from what I'm understanding from the application. And, there won't be a thoroughfare through there.
No, there's not going to be, right?
No.
Right, that's what I mean, so it doesn't look like there's gonna be a fire lane there.
No,
All right.
not
So-
through the seating.
Again, I gotta get some clarification, because if there's the place is busy, I don't know how a fire truck is gonna get up to that to fight a fire, that's all.
Right, I'll get you
Yeah,
clarification
so I just need some clarification on that.
before I leave for Albany tonight. Okay, Madam Secretary, I'll get clarification tonight, now seeing the pictures, before I leave for Albany tonight. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, sir? All right,
Item-
Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 9, authorizing capital lease financing agreement for a track-mounted sidewalk plow for the Bureau of Public Works.
Madam Controller?
Yeah, this resolution will piggyback off of a resolution being presented tonight at the workshop meeting. The purchase of this equipment was authorized earlier this year under capital lease. The equipment has been received. If the resolution tonight passes, this resolution will be presented next week to authorize the execution of the lease.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 10, to amend and restate the plan document for the Town of Arundecoit 457 plan.
Mr. Director?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The Town of Arundecoit's deferred compensation plan is, we've adopted the state plan essentially, and there are some voluntary provisions. The Deferred Compensation Committee did vote on those. We adopted 3 of those provisions. They allow distributions for domestic abuse, federally declared disasters, and for long-term care contracts. So we just need to update our existing plan and send that off to the state for approval.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 11, authorizing a salary change in the Department of the Assessor.
Mr. Director?
Thank you. With the pending appointment of a new assessment clerk, we would like to consider a salary increase for our existing assessment clerk in the interest of equity and just the town's overall compensation plan. This fits into our plans.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 12, authorizing the memorandum of understanding with the Federal Bureau of Investigations for participation in the Buffalo Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force.
Chief?
Yes, sir. This will be for allowing one of our investigators to be assigned to the Child Crimes Task Force. Our investigators still be working out of our office, but in case of any one of these horrific crimes, we kind of bring the whole team together and bring all of our forces to bear against that.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 13, authorizing an amendment to the 2024 town budget.
Chief?
Yes, sir. Last year, we were awarded from New York State a grant for body-worn camera money, and we are just about ready to implement the new, or try to get the new camera system purchased and implemented here, and we are just hoping to get that money so we can put it towards those costs.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Declaring certain item number 14, declaring certain items as surplus, authorizing the sale of said items and appropriating funds.
Chief?
Yes, sir. This is actually, we're hoping to sell some of our surplus 45 caliber ammo that we are no longer going to be using, selling it to the Camillus Police Department and selling it at the same price that we bought off the state contract price. So making no profit whatsoever. It's just giving another department a chance to actually stockpile their ammo that they need.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 15, declaring certain asphalt material as surplus property.
Madam Commissioner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is a resolution that we started last year, and it allows us to surplus our asphalt that we mill off the roads and we can sell it immediately to interested parties via our online municipal auction. This proves to be very beneficial to, as we mill roads, that we can immediately put it on there and sell it, that interested parties like it, as opposed to waiting toward later in the year. So we just continually, as we mill roads and generate this material, we would be able to sell it.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 16, declaring certain equipment surplus property.
Madam Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Yes, this resolution is to surplus of certain pieces of equipment that are no longer needed within the department. We have replaced them, so we will surplus these and for the same, put them on the online municipal auction.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 17, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the West Arundecoit Central School District for rental of town property.
Madam Commissioner.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Supervisor. So the West Arundecoit School District is undergoing a renovation of one of their facilities, and with such they are looking for a temporary space to store some of the materials that they need to have access to routinely. So they approached us and asked, and we sourced a spot within the Brockway garage that we thought that would accommodate their needs. They agreed, so that's why this resolution came from, but it's temporary. They're looking to start this fall. They're going to begin to move the materials out of their facility now and bring them here, and it would go till about next spring, summer, when they look to finish up that renovation and move the materials out. We also did amicably come to a rate that they will pay us for rent for this time period, and yeah, that's everything.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Now, just a comment, I know that space is an issue within the district, the school district, and I appreciate this partnership.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 18, authorizing the supervisor to enter into various contracts with vendors for the town's 2024 4th of July celebration.
Just to retrieve.
Pardon me? No, I haven't seen it yet. No, I don't.
If we can just go back to the previous resolution, there is a mentioned attachment A for
Yeah,
the
I haven't
agreement.
seen it.
I don't know if that was included in the packet. Do we have a copy of the attachment?
Yeah, for the rate and all that stuff.
Right.
I apologize. We will get you a copy of that agreement.
Great, thanks.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 18, authorizing the supervisor to enter into various contracts with vendors for the town's 2024 4th of July celebration.
Madam Director.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution will allow us to move forward with a variety of our contracts for the 50th anniversary of our 4th of July celebration, including several band and entertainment contracts, the tent for the beverage garden and sound stage, the fireworks display, and then also our shuttle buses that will be bringing folks back and forth from the community center parking lot here to Town Hall campus. We're expecting a great number of folks this year, so we added that as well.
Thanks, Madam Director. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 19, authorizing the Recreation Department to make a donation of proceeds from Classic Car Cruisin'.
Madam Director?
Thank you, sir. Our classic car cruise-in is scheduled for July 28th this year at the Town Hall campus. Last year, we had over 130 vehicles on property for a very successful event, and we're looking forward to go bigger and better this year. Hopefully, Mother Nature will help us out with that. And we want to donate part of the proceeds from the suggested entry fee towards the United Way to be distributed to different agencies within the town of Arundecoit, such as the Sunset House.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 20, approving the special use event license for a race, Juneteenth 5K race.
Madam Clerk, explanation.
This is the first year that they've have a race along with their celebration. We have received all of the insurance approvals as well as the department approvals, so we're asking that you push this resolution through.
Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. With that, we have a couple of items for board actions tonight. Madam Clerk, can you read the first item?
Item number 1, authorizing capital lease financing of one track-mounted sidewalk plow for the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion to adopt?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Could I get an explanation?
This resolution will authorize a lease of a sidewalk plow for the Department of Public Works. An RFQ was released on May 1st for quotes from financing agencies. We received 2 quotes back. The lowest quote was from J.P. Morgan Equipment Finance, so this would authorize a lease with J.P. Morgan Equipment Finance.
Any questions or comments? With that, I'll ask all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? This resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 2, authorizing the provisional appointment of an Office Clerk 3 in the Arundecoit Police Department.
Motion to adopt.
I'll move it.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I have an explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We're seeking approval to hire Megan Benwitz for this position. This would be a provisional appointment. Ms. Benwitz would just need to clear civil service to become permanent. The department conducted several interviews. This was posted for quite some time, and they did an extensive background check, and Megan was recommended for hire.
Any questions or comments?
Well, do you have any idea when they're going to do the test, Jason? I mean, do they,
I'm sorry, I don't know the exact date, but I do know that the applications are in right now, and I believe she's trying to get on that list
Okay.
as it was a little delay there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? With that, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 3, authorizing the appointment of a Deputy Town Clerk.
I'll move it.
Second.
Explanation, please.
Jumping.
Tracy, did you want?
Okay, sorry.
So the town clerk is going to be out of town. There isn't currently a first deputy town clerk that's appointed, so the town board has the authority to put somebody in that place temporarily. There is a town board meeting that's scheduled while she's out of town, so the duties are limited to her duties at the board meetings. If there are special meetings that are called during that time period as well, Ms. Stoller would cover.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Now, one question I do have, though, if this happens again, we have to have another resolution, or is this, okay, all right,
Correct.
just as we go along, we do it, okay?
Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 4, authorizing the provisional appointment of a payroll clerk in the Arundecoit Human Resources Department.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Can I have an explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I was very disappointed to see Denise Ramos leave the position of payroll clerk. And when she announced she was leaving, we did order the civil service list, canvass that list. There was only one person interested off the list, so we also posted this publicly. We conducted 4 interviews, and at this time, we would like to recommend the hire of Frank Lazaro to a provisional appointment, and he is already signed up for the next payroll clerk exam.
Any questions or comments? I'd like to say thanks very much for Denise's service. She is very well missed, and I look forward to her success in her new position, and look forward to, if we do adopt, working with Frank. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. This concludes our workshop for May 13th, 2024. Our next meeting is a regular town board meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, the 21st of May, 2024, here in the Broderick Room. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? This meeting is adjourned.